Hello. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Vintage Revival Design Co. I'm going to see if anybody pops on. If you do, please say hello. Let me know where you're watching from. We are going to do some collage using watercolor and some printables and some decoupage tissues. And I don't know what else we're going to use, but I've got a few things out here. And so I thought, let's give it a go. We're also going to just take 1 minute before we get started just to pray that all the technology works in our favor today. So anyway, I've got things, shut down and, so it's not competing and we'll see what happens. But if you hear a little bit of a fan, it is just hot, hot, hot in here, y'all. It is hot. Hi, Shannon. Thanks for saying hello. You are so brave to come back and we're going to try this again. And so, yeah, so anyway, you voted. There weren't many votes, but the majority, I think, out of 3 or 4 was to do watercolor and collage. And so that's what we're going to do. And we'll do the sap buckets and the pots another time. So I'm going to go ahead and bring up my project table, show you what I'm going to be using, and we'll go from there. So 1 second. Okay, so I am working on a panel board. I have taped the edges off. I have not really done that in the past, but I started doing it recently and it's super helpful. So I used to just clean up things afterwards, but I'm starting to tape them off. So, and then because I'm going to be using watercolor, what I did was I used 2 coats of a watercolor ground. I used the one by Daniel Smith, and I've got it right here. But there is also another brand. So this is not the only company that makes this, but this watercolor ground, once it's applied, you can get it in black or transparent or white. I've used the titanium white for this. I did 2 coats, sanding in between and letting each dry. And so what this allows you to do is to use watercolor and get that same kind of cold pressed paper effect and your watercolors on a piece of wood. So you're really just preparing this for the watercolor medium. So I really like it. It's a really good tool to have if you don't just like, painting on paper. So you can take this to other things. Hi, Sandy. Thank you so much for joining. And yes, on the resin bags from that. Yes. So it really is super helpful. So that's a medium. I also have some printables that I'm going to be working with. I wanted to kind of work on a collage that would resemble the pictures. If you're interested in these printables, if you're on YouTube, in the description is a link to get them. They're free. And if you're on Facebook, I would love it, even if you don't want the printable, or because you sign up for my email to get them. But if you type in the comments #free, FREE in all caps, it should work. And it should send you a message in Messenger with the link to get those printables. And so, oh, I'm so glad, Sandy. I'm glad this is great. So anyway, I've got printables. I've also got clean water and dirty water, which within 2 minutes I will have mixed up because that's how I roll. I've got my watercolors here. Today I'm using this set. You've seen me use this set a lot. And it is just a watercolor palette. It's by Paul Rubens, and you can get it on Amazon. It's also on my website under Shop My Amazon Favorites. And then I'm going to be using Yes Paste as an adhesive, and we're just going to use some other things too. So yeah, so let's get started. I started to cut my printables. I didn't get all the way through, so we'll just bear with me. I also have a variety of, decoupage papers and things like that. They're all over the place. So we'll just go from there and see what we do. So if one of you who has typed free would let me know if that link worked, that would be great. You would get a message in Messenger. And if not, as soon as the live is done, I will just post the link directly in the comments. I was just trying to make it a little easier for everybody. Okay, so I've got my watercolor brushes too. I just keep them separate. Shannon, yay! Thank you so much. I'm so glad, you guys, that's the first automation that has actually worked for me. So I am thrilled. Thank you so much. Hi, Lori, welcome. And okay, so I've got my watercolor brushes, and I'm going to be using some of the bigger ones for some of this. And I've got one of them. I don't know what I did. Oh boy, with that. I also want to have a paper towel, and we're going to go from there. When you're watercoloring, if you have not done this before, then thank you so much, Chris. Then what I want you to know is that a really helpful thing is to, even if your set doesn't come with uh, a little guide, a color guide, then you can create one on watercolor paper and just write down the names of these. This happened to come, and the writing is in a language that I don't speak or understand. And so I just looked at the back of them, and it had the colors in English. And so I wrote them down. What's really helpful about that is that when you're working with your watercolors, right, and you open this palette, you can't really tell exactly what color is going to come out. So if you swatch your colors, swatch was the word I was looking for. If you swatch your colors, it's super helpful. And I can see this row here matches to this row and here, and so on and so on. So it makes it much easier to choose and select my color. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of prepare my watercolors, but I just take my spritzer and spritz the colors in the pan. And it just helps to get them ready to use. And I want to just create a background. So I have this one as inspiration. So this is one that I've done in caustic on for a class that I recently offered. And I know Shannon was in the class, and so she'll know what I'm talking about. But I did a collage for this before I used the encaustic. And so I'm kind of using this as a little bit of a reference. But this is a watercolor background. And then I have that printable, and I have some decoupage paper. We'll be using a Stabilo pencil as well. So anyway, I've got this up here for inspiration. So I thought I would show you that. But I'm going to go ahead and take my brush, and I'm going to just drop water on this. And I can also, you can drop it like this, or you can even just take your spray bottle and just spritz it. I prefer to drop it because then I'm not getting the entire area wet, and I'll show you why for this. So I'm going to be working, I've chosen these more kind of these really earthy, you might even say fall inspired butterflies in this color. And so because they've got a lot of the orange in them, I'm going to be working with a lot of blue. The blue and the orange are complementary to each other. So I am going to be doing that. The size of the brush is a 24, Lori. So this is a 24 brush. The brand is Transon, but it's just it comes in a big set. And so I really like these big brushes. And because I've been chatting, some of my water has dried. Okay, so I'm going to add a little bit more. So now what I'm going to do is talk myself out of going into my clean water as we go along. So I'm going to choose, I really love indigo. And so let's see, that's 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is the indigo here. And I'm going to take my brush so you can see it's just this really beautiful, this will be my dirty water. It's just this really beautiful blue. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to randomly take that brush. I don't want hard edges. And I'm just kind of pushing this along. I got a little there, and that's okay. And I'm basically just dropping that paint in. If I want a little more concentration, a little darker, then I'll just have less water on my brush. And so the more water you have on your brush, the more translucent or light the color is going to be. And the less water you have, the more concentrated your color will be. So I'm just dropping this in. like this. Now, if I really don't want to do this, but let's say you got a little spot on here that you weren't really happy with. You can take a paper towel and pick up some of that, just dabbing, right? So we can pick up some color with that if you feel you got too much. You can also make some pretty cool marks in this by dabbing your color. So I can just kind of model as in, not as in like fashion model, but modeling. Like I don't even know, but I think you know what I mean. So I can pick up some of the color. I can also do that with a dry brush. So if I've got too much paint someplace, or I just want to lighten it, or I just want to put some interesting marks in my color, I can use a dry brush as well. And so that's one way to do that. So now I'm going to take that same big number 24 brush. I'm getting my printables wet over here. And let's see. Oh, okay. I did answer that. All right. So I have this, and then I'm going to come in here. I'm kind of looking, I want to do more of an orangey color. So I'm going to come in here, and I believe this is going to be Van Dyke Brown, or is this red? Oh no, this is red ochre. So I'm going to use this red ochre, get that blue off my brush, and then get some clean water. And I'm going to come in here and pick up this red ochre a little bit. And then I'm going to spray again. It may make my water move, my blue move a little bit, and that's okay. But I'm going to spray a little bit, and then I'm just going to drop that color in. Just kind of overlapping a little bit. I don't want to make mud, so I'm going to try to stay away from my blue. And I'm just doing a random bit of color here, just dropping this in. I don't want it to look like I painted it with a paintbrush. I want it to just look very natural. And so I'm going to spray here. And let's get a little bit of that color down here as well. And just dropping, I'm kind of dabbing, but really once the paint hits the water, then that's when it's going to start to kind of spread out and go. I hope that makes sense. Be sure to ask any questions that you have as we go along. I'm going to add maybe even just a third color and wipe up my mess, because those big brushes hold a ton of water. They're big belly brushes. But you could use really any brush. You could use like a round paintbrush if you needed to. I really love the watercolor brushes. So now I want to pick up, I want to soften this just a little bit. And I could do, let's do a little bit. The Payne's Gray is also dark, but I'm going to see what a little of that would look like. Let's see. It's just a slightly, I don't know that I really want that. Let me test out some other colors and see what I want. I'm wanting a third color, and I could just do the yellow, or I could do even like a brown, but I am going to be using some of that burlap paper. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to get some clean water in here, and let's go, I don't know, let's go with the nickel yellow. So that is right here. That is the fourth from here. I'm referring to my color chart, my swatch chart. And I think I got a little bit of orange in there too, which is fine. It was next to it, and this brush is super big. All right, so I'm going to mix in just a little bit of color, a little bit of water, and I'm going to drop this in just a few places. Now, it may make a green over here. You kind of want them to be a little bit, so I'm going to get just a little, so I'm just going to drop this in here like this. It's pretty bright actually, so I may want to soften that up. I may just pick up a little bit of that. Let me mix a little bit of a brown in there and see what I get. You just play with your color. You can play with it in the palette until you get something that you're really wanting to work with. All right, let me get a little bit of, let's go with a little bit I wonder if I add a little bit of that burnt sienna, if that would work. Let's mix that and see what we get. If we get something just a little warmer, a little more golden. So I like that. And I can just dip that into this. And so then I have a little bit of the highlight, but it's making that color less bright. And I do like that. And again, I want to be careful because I don't want to make mud. If my colors aren't dry and they're not sealed in between, then that can be a little bit of an issue. So I'm going to go ahead and take a piece of paper towel and I'm going to pick up some of this because it's just a little too stark. I'm just going to pick it up and kind of remove it a little bit and we'll try something else. I think I'm going to go with that darker color in there. Okay, so let's go with this darker color and see if I can just move that. I'm not using as much water with it. And this is going to be covered up with our collage too. So I'm going to pick some of that up with my wet and do that. Are we with me? Hi, Sheila. How are you? Thank you for saying hello. I appreciate it. All right, so I'm picking up that burnt sienna again. And then I'm just going to go right in with my brush here. And let's make a little of this and we'll mix a little of that. And then I might want to drop some more of the blue. So you just play with this until you get something. A lot of this is going to be covered up and it's going to look a lot different when we're all done. But the idea is just to get some color on your background and go from there. And I really like a little white space. So I'm not, going all the way to the edge with this. So I'm going to mix a little bit of this and a little bit of this. I don't know that I'm loving this. I'm going to go ahead and pop some water in here. Get it to just kind of do its thing. Just a little more organically, I guess. And just give it some of those edges, right? So I'm going to just kind of let that go. I'm going to come all the way down here. And I think we'll go with that. I think I can make this work. Easy peasy. I can make that work. All right, so I want to drop a little bit more of the blue into my painting. And because we've got a lot of the orange, so I do want to get some more of this indigo in here. And so I'm going to just kind of, I'll have a lot of water on my brush and a lot of the indigo. Let's see how I can do. This time, I'm not going to spray it because this is drying pretty much. And if I spray this and it's got the water, I really am going to reactivate that. And then I'm going to, end up with just a lot of mud. So I'm just going to go a little darker in here. And I am just trusting the process. Okay. And so I'm going to go ahead and dry this up. I just got gelatos. I think are you asking me about gelatos? Yes, Sheila. So I actually just got my first set of gelatos and you'll never guess where I got them from. I got them at Five Below because I thought, I know they're not the highest quality, but I'm using them for the first time. And so I thought, you know what, I'm going to get them there and give it a try and see. And so I'll let you know. I'd love to know how you use them and if you really enjoy them. I'm going to go ahead and just lightly, I'm just going to hold it up here and see if we can't dry this a little bit. I got a little bit of a green over here and I like that. But once we're done, this will make a lot more sense because we're going to be doing some collage with that. And oh, you mean that I got them at Five Below? Yes. So you guys, if you have a Five Below near you, they have 300 GSM watercolor paper, cold pressed watercolor paper pads for $5. They have, oh, the palette paper that I like to use. I was shocked. I found a pad of that. And at Michael's, it was a lot more than $5. So even on sale at that time. So I was thrilled. And you can get brushes, you know, like artist brushes and things like that. What else do they have? They have great storage options. I did get some watercolor markers. So I'm going to be playing with those a little bit. And I think those are really fun. But I think if you're trying something new and you can get it at someplace like Five Below, then it's a nice thing to be able to do, right? So I'll let you know how I like the gelatos. Like I need one more thing, right? Like I need one more craft supply. Um, oh, good. So she went to, oh, I'm so glad. I'm so glad, Sandy, that she liked the Five Below because they really did. They've got a great art supply section. So I didn't love their acrylics. I'm going to tell you that I didn't love their acrylic paints. So, but I paid $5 and I am using them to do something else. They also had oil paints, and I used those to make some colored encaustic wax, and it was okay. I preferred another brand of the oil paints that I got, but it's just great. It's a lower risk experimentation, right? So now that this is dry, it's dry enough for us to work on. I'm going to stop right there, and we're just going to start to do a little bit of collage. Okay, I do not have my palette paper, which would be, I'm going to grab a piece of, here, I've got a piece of parchment paper. So I want to work on a nonstick surface when I'm doing that. And I'm just going to start kind of like laying out. I like to work in threes. Maybe I don't know, but I need to finish cutting this little butterfly here, and then we will get to the collage. So same here. Yes, like I know. It's just like one more. What else do we need? Oh, the other thing that I got at Five Below that I really liked, I got this little tabletop easel thing. And it's really nice when it would be easier to work on something when it's kind of face up at you instead of flat down. So, so that was really nice too. But what other places do you like to get art supplies other than Amazon? What are your favorite stores for art supplies? Let me know. I like to share. Oh, and I found that, I don't know, I know I shared it, but they even had a silicone mat at Five Below. And so that was, and it's got cups and everything for mediums. Honestly, I think it's a great mat, but I found the cups to be a little cumbersome when I was working on it all the time, because even though it was easy cleanup, I just thought no. So I'm going to start with something. I want something that is going to kind of ground my image. And I'm trying to think. I have another printable here. I also have I love this burlap paper. And so I save all of my scraps of it. I'm wanting something with a little bit of text or music or something like that. Even something like this could be fun, like the eye chart. And I'm thinking, if you missed it, this is a 12x6 board that I'm working on. So I don't know if I could do something like that, or if I want to do, I have this printable that's kind of fun. And I like that it has a neutral bit over here. Like it's got the neutral background, because it kind of grounds things a little bit. So I'm going to try that. When you're working with a printable and you're going to be tearing the edges, you want to tear away from the piece that you want to use, because you can see, otherwise you end up with this white edge. So when you're working with the printables, that's a little trick, is if you're going to be tearing the paper, then tear away from it. It's a little strip, right? I hope that's helpful. I kind of like this little doodad up here, so I think let's just do that. Let's get something going, but I don't know. Let's just see. I really don't have a rhyme or a reason for this. I just choose some things and then, oh, and see, I already went ahead and ripped into it and just blew my recommendation to tear away. So let me do this again. Okay, I'm going to be using this piece because I didn't tear it so that I mean, the white paper isn't a big deal. It does act like a little bit of a frame, but if you don't want the white paper, which I'm hoping not to have, then tearing it backwards. If you don't mind the white, then just rip away and don't even think twice about it. Just do your thing. Okay. So I'm going to come up here, and so I'm just going to tear. I don't want it to be a straight thing here, and I think I want it to be. Let's go that way too here. All right, I'm just going to give it a little bit of a, and I'm going to come here and let it. I could even cover that green a little bit if I wanted to, and I think I might because it is a little out of place, that green that I created with that. So I'm going to be using the, you bought some big, oh yeah, it does keep costs down. I mean, if you can find it, and sometimes the quality is really good, sometimes it's hit or miss. I think that's true of just about anything and anywhere. So I am using Yes Paste. I'm using Yes Paste because these are inkjet prints. And normally they would smear if you put anything water-based or anything like that. But I use it because of the adhesion and because basically it's proven to work on just about anything. It is a little pricey though. So if you don't, because you can't seem to find small sizes of it. So you just have to get this big jar. But this big jar lasts a long time. I filled kit orders with this and have done so many collages that I can't even, oh my gosh, too many to count. And I use it with the encaustic as well. So anyway, so I'm going to just kind of position this in place. I'm going to cover up that green. I'm going to come right up in here and I'm going to lay that down. Sometimes just committing to that first piece of paper is just going to get you going, right? And so I'm going to kind of play with my butterflies. I really like it when they can kind of come half on, half off. And like I said, I really love to work in odd numbers if possible. And so I was thinking about doing 3, but I think we need something because those colors are a little more saturated. I don't know. Let's put him kind of in the middle. It really doesn't matter too much. But I kind of like to have this here, like, I don't know, like that. I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to do it. Okay. Hi, Debbie. How are you? And so I'm going to just do this. You can also, on these smaller ones, sometimes these little glue spreaders are a lot easier to use on things like this or the things that are delicate, like the body of him. And you'll notice that none of my butterflies have any antennas, but I'm going to draw those in with the Stabilo pencil. All right. So I'm going to just spread this on, get good coverage. You definitely, this Yes Paste is super, super sticky. And so you definitely want a nonstick surface to work on. So we're just going to go for it and we're going to place our first butterfly in place. And I've got Yes Paste on my fingers, so they are a little sticky. I'm going to press those down firmly and they are in place. So that one is in place. And I think we're going to do, I mean, it could be fun to have one coming off here and do a little saying over here. You know, just kind of a half of a butterfly, but I'm going to go ahead. I'm just going to do this. Okay. And I'm going to come up here, and then maybe we'll come up here and we'll do like something. I don't know what we're going to do. What do you guys think? Should we go like half off? Should we, what do you think? I'm kind of like, I don't want them too close together. And the other thing that I want to do, I just see this, and in my head, I see this. So this is a Stabilo pencil. So I'm actually going to make, I'm just going to make some, okay, I'm just going to make a little mark like that. Can you see that at all? And then I'm going, I hope you can see that. Then I'm going to take a little bit of water, and I'm going to go right over that Stabilo pencil, and it's going to darken it. I'm just using a small artist brush. I've probably ruined my chances for a little antenna over there. So you can just deepen this and spread it, make it even with a little water, just like this. I went a little bit out of the lines there. So you can see how now all of a sudden it's really popping, right? And so that is helpful. So I really like this for mark making. And we'll make some other marks as we go along, outlining some things. Okay. And so this works really well. So I'm going to go over this. Don't drink a lot of coffee before you do this part, because if your hands are shaky, it can go all over. Just take your time. I don't want to push too hard because I don't want the water to spread into my watercolor. Okay, so now I've got those lines, and it just adds a little bit of, I don't know, a little bit of something, a little bit of interest to it. And now I feel like I can come here and we'll do that. Okay, so I'm going to flip this a little bit because I've made a big mess. This stuff is sticky, you guys, sticky. So working on a nonstick surface, a mat, you know, something like that. The white paper that I have this on is just parchment paper, nonstick parchment paper. You can find actually sheets of it at the Dollar Tree, the parchment paper. If you go into like the cooking section where they have the aluminum pans, I think it's like 25 sheets, and they're pretty large sheets. So you could probably get 50 or more out of them. And so I have really started, they're like the individual ones that you just pull out, like for wrapping a sandwich or something like that. And so that was a good find too for parchment paper. All right, so I'm going to just kind of place him here. And again, halfway on here. We're going to do some definition on him so that he is, you know, a little more prominent. So I'm missing a little bit right here. And Shannon says, I don't understand what, oh, a Stabilo pencil is, I wish I could explain it. It works, so let me just say, so it works on paper, glass, plastic, and metal. It is like a water-based pencil, like a paint pencil is how I consider it. You can draw with it, mark make with it, or something like that, but it is also water soluble. So you can do like what we did. So instead of like a charcoal pencil where you might, you know, rub it, this one, if you add water to it, you can, you know, get more intensity on it. I know that's not the best explanation. I'm not like the expert on it, But I know that they work like with the encaustic, with the mixed media. It's just I love it. You can it's not going to smudge everything, and so I really do enjoy that. I hope that's helpful. It's probably not, Shannon. But we'll just look it up and see what we can do. I'm glad, Shannon. I'm glad that helps. Okay, so I'm coming down here, and you'll see that we make a lot of marks with that Stabilo pencil. And so I've got some adhesive here, but that's okay. So let's get that last butterfly on and then see what we want to do. I'm going to go ahead and do a little bit here. I wanted to use that burlap paper somewhere, and I probably could have come out with it, but when I say come out with it, I mean just do something on top of that other little script paper. And I didn't want to add another piece of script paper because I've already got a lot of text going on. So I don't want it to be too much, right? All right. So I'm going to lift him up, and I'm going to place him about here. I'm trying to basically line the body with the edge of the paper that's underneath so that it's just right there. And so now we have that, and I think I'm going to just make a few, just like a few little, just something for interest. I'm just going to do some circles up here. Try to space them. And really, it's not for anything other than it gives a little bit of visual interest over there. And so I'm just going to do that. And now I'm just going to take my brush and I'm going to paint those in. So by adding water to that, now that one did spread. All right, that one just spread. But I think that we can make that work. We can just roll with it. I can pick it up a little bit and see. I just had a lot of water on my brush at that moment. And so I'm going around a little bit and picking up some of that splatter that's there. And then I think I'll just kind of do the same thing, and we'll make it a little bit more of a distressed dot. Because when things like this happen, sometimes it's just okay to say, you know what, that's what I wanted to do anyway, right? So that's what we can do. And it's not really so much as a watercolor pencil. Like, so this would actually work like, so here it says plastic. So I could draw on this. I think of it as being almost more greasy, actually, which is surprising to me, or like a wax. So I just wrote on my plastic bottle here. What do I have that's glass? Here's my jar. So I can mark on my jar. I'll just do like a little smiley face. But I really don't know enough to know that it's permanent. So what I am going to do is I'll look more into it and let you know what I find out so that I can give a better, whereas I do have watercolor pencils, and I don't think that I don't think I can grab them, but oh, I've got one here. Hold on. Is this a watercolor pencil? Yeah. Okay. So here's a watercolor pencil that I have. And so I'm not getting anything on that, right? Nothing. Nada. I'm getting just the slightest bit. Let's see if I chose a different color, if that would make a difference, because I need something that is, let's see if we can do a pink one. All right. So here's a watercolor pencil, and I can get some color on there, but not much. So the Stabilo pencil, I don't know. I'm just going to see what I can find out about them and let you know. I just don't know. And I can only share what I know. Okay. So I've made those little areas there. And then I think what I want to do is just to kind of, I want to make these pop a little bit more, and I want to make this pop a little bit more. And I'm trying to decide if I want to use the black Stabilo pencil. It also comes in white, but I don't think I have one of those. I don't have a white Stabilo pencil. I just have the black. But I could use like a little bit of ink or something like that. So one second. I have these. I recently got these mini archival inks. And so I got the minis because the stamp pads they're expensive full size, and I wanted lots of colors. And so this was a more reasonable way to go. And so I thought, let me just try that. So sepia looks kind of promising if I want to keep in my color family here. And what else have I got? I have a little bit of vermilion. That might be nice. I've got some cobalt, might be a little too bright. I'm going to just dip a little bit on there. Nope, I mean, that could work too. So I've got that color. I don't think there's a darker one. Obviously, there's always black. There's a coffee that could be kind of fun for that. And then there's a plum. Oh, I love the plum, but not for this project. And then I've got a little bit of gray. So let's just pull some colors out. So these are just the tiny little ink pads. And then I have I have this for the pan pastels. And so I'm just going to use a little thing that I have. I could also, I probably need a clean one if I'm going to go in there. Or what could I use? I guess I could just use my makeup sponge, or here, I've got a little triangle one too. So we can just do that. I have a little blender somewhere, but I don't know. Oh, I've got a little sponge dauber. Let's try a little bit of that for like the edges, but I'm going to need something a little finer for the edges of this. So I'm just going to do a little bit of, just to get a sense of the color. All right, so that's the coffee. Sepia I usually love. And it's a little bit, let's see. Yeah, sepia is actually pretty good. So I'm going to take a little bit of the sepia, okay, and we're going to just kind of, I'm going to just kind of blend my edges, or maybe I'll just get out the pan pastels and work with those. So I can do a little bit. So this is what I do. I just kind of, I don't know. I just change my mind and then do something else. So let me get the pan pastels. I have these. These are little, well, they're pastels, and I really, really enjoy working with them. They are a powder form, but they're extra soft and really, really great pigment. And so I kind of like this. And so I am going to get out that. So this color is, I don't know what color. I think it is, let's see, if I do, I'm going to be using this color. It's got several. They've got this like really orange, but that's too close to the color that I'm working with. And so this is, I'm using red iron oxide extra dark. So the colors actually are on the back of these. And I kind of wish they were labeled here because it would make, I often have to like open all of, like unscrew these just to find the color that I want. That's a pretty color too. That could be really nice, but I think it's too subtle. So I really do think that I like this, this red iron oxide piece. So I'm just going to get a little tip here. It came with these little tips and this little applicator when I got it. They are, I kind of wish I could find these at Five Below, but I can't. And so they are pricey, but they are, I mean, you mix them with gel medium and you can do, like, I think we should do a class or a session on all the different ways that you can use a supply that you have, because I think sometimes even like with an ink pad, we think of using it just one way. So let me know if you would be interested in that. I would be happy to do with it because I am always testing the limits of my supplies so that I can get something different out of them, that I can get more than one use. So I'm using the tiniest bit on here on the tip of this. And when you seal it, oh, for the sealing. So I'm going to use a fixative I'll show you the natural fixative that I'm going to use. And I'm going to use that fixative. It's a spray fixative, and I will use it before I seal this. So I'm just going to smudge a little bit with my finger. It's kind of like inking the edges, but more with a powder. And you can see I've just used the tiniest bit, and I'm getting a lot of color out of this. So I'm going to go a little slow, use my finger, and I really want to hit those edges. Let me show you the sealer that I'm going to use. The fixative that I'm going to use is this. So this is a Degas fixative. It's or Spectrafix. It's odor-free, non-toxic, all-natural, all media. So it is perfect for soft pan pastel, oil pastel, mixed media, etc. So you do want to hold it up. I do this over a trash can, and you do want to spray it several inches away. I think it says 18 inches, but I usually do about, I don't know, 8 to 12. It says at least 18 inches from your vertical artwork. And you want to spray really light layers. And I usually end up spraying 2. And so what this does is it's going to seal everything in. And so my color won't run, my watercolor won't reactivate, etc. So that is the sealer that I'll be using, Sheila. And it'll seal the Stabilo pencil, it'll seal the pan pastel, it'll seal my watercolor, all of that. And so I'm going to use this with my finger here. And so I'm just doing this. I'm still using just that tiny bit. I actually wish I could divide this up and just send you some, because I really love it. And I can't imagine ever needing or ever running out of this. So it just doesn't seem possible. So I'm just kind of, I want to highlight this paper here, right? And just to kind of define it. And then we'll do something different with the butterflies as we're going. Your finger is just like a great art tool, right? It just works. And if I get some on my paint, that's okay. But I like that it's just giving a little more definition. And so it doesn't seem so, you know, just a piece of paper. So it gives it an interest. I always like to ink edges of things, and I really enjoy that. So now I think I might want to add a little bit of a second color, and I'm trying to decide, do I want to do this dark brown, or do I want something that'll be a little more contrast. So I'm going to do the tiniest bit, just tiny. I don't think you can barely see that, right? And let's see. Yes, Sheila, these are pan pastels. And so there are all kinds of pastels on the market. And these are the pan pastels. And I had seen a lot of, you know, projects that I liked that were made with them. And I love how smooth they are and how highly pigmented they are. And that I'm just kind of getting another color over here, and then it'll be darker in some areas, lighter in others. And I'm not going over the entire piece on this. I'm just adding a little bit more of this dark color as we go. Now, I could even do the encaustic over this. I could. I might just do that when I get this the way that I want it. Okay. All right. So now we have that. I like that. I think that's nice, but I feel like the butterflies need a little something. And so I am just going to gently outline these butterflies, and it's just going to make them pop. So this isn't really something that you can smudge super well. So it actually could be better to go right on the edge of the butterfly, but you're going to see that it gets, all of a sudden it's getting some more definition and it kind of pops better off the page just by giving it a little bit of outline. I'm hoping that you can see this. Okay. So this Stabilo pencil does not smudge as well with my finger, but I can go over this with a little watercolor brush and darken the line what I want. Okay. And so we're going to come here. I just want to give that a little definition. And when I add the tiny water brush to it, you will see how it's going to pop off the page. Okay, so let me get a tiny, tiny, tiny brush. This is it's a 2/0. So I'm not sure what that means, but it is I'm trying to get it so you can see the number on there. If you can, it's right here. So it's 2 and then a slash and an O is the size of it. And so this is tiny, tiny, tiny. I'm going to just use, it's a fine line brush, just like that. Now, while it's wet, I can smudge it a little bit. But it doesn't smudge quite like the pan pastels do. So I just have a very damp, tiny, tiny, tiny brush. And so I'm actually going to move my brush back and forth on the edge of my paper just to kind of smudge that a little bit. So I can smudge it with some water, but I'm trying to be really careful not to go into my background, I guess. So what I'm doing is pulling the Stabilo pencil line away from the edge of the butterfly. You guys, I'm just working on the fly. Okay. And so I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm just going to take a little bit of water and pull that away. When that dries, it won't be so noticeable, the water. Just kind of manipulating it a little bit so it's not so harsh. If for those of you who joined late, in the comments, then if you are interested in these printables, there are 3 sheets of butterflies, various butterflies, these and some others, as well as a printable of some postage. And I'm just offering that to you as a thank you for being here and joining me. And all you have to do to get it is just type #free, FREE, in the comments in all caps. So capital F, capital R, capital E, with the hashtag in front, and it'll send you to the link. It will ask you to sign up for my email list, but you'll get the printables right away if that's something that you're interested in. And if you are already a subscriber, thank you so, so much. And it won't double, you won't get 2 emails. As long as you access the printables with the email that you use to sign up the first time, then the system won't, you won't get emails twice. I hope that makes sense. So I'm going to try to hold this up because I can't tell. So you can see how this one is you know, I mean, it's okay, but now this one has so much more definition, right? And so I think that that makes a just a big difference. So anytime we can add a little bit of interest or definition, I really really enjoy that. And so I'm going to go ahead and continue with these other little butterflies, and then we'll go on to what we might want to do next. So here, now that I kind of did that one, I'm just going to do a lighter line on here, and then we'll use my water as we go. All right. So I'll get that on there, not let it sit too much, kind of wiggle my brush a little bit into the butterfly, not into the background. And I really like that definition that it gives. And so I'll look into this Stabilo pencil and share the information about it with you. Oh, good, Sheila. I'm glad. Oh, well, thank you, Teresa. I'm glad you're here. Welcome. And no problem. That's what replay is for. And you get that handy dandy little button where you can fast forward for 10 seconds. So that might be helpful. The thing about me and like doing this kind of thing is I get a little bit in a zone and just this like really calm, relaxed state. And it's great for me, but it might be a little boring for you guys. So I'm just going to keep that. So you see, they just pop so nicely when we do that. And it's just a little something. So for mark making, I think they come in a variety of colors, actually. Let's see if I can get this to go just a little bit faster. Okay, and so we'll use this and this one done. I don't mind if there's just a little bit of smudging. It's not a problem. I told you that I would mess up my dirty water and my clean water, and I have. So there you go. I don't know what it is. I either need to keep them on opposite sides or something. I thought like, you know, just using a blue jar and then a cup would keep me straight, but it did not. It did not. Okay. So, all right. I think we'll just do this last one of this outlining. And then I've got a couple of little edges where I didn't get some adhesive. So I'm going to need to take care of that. I'm just going to see if I can do this one just a little bit faster. Just a little bit. And then I don't want to forget to add the antenna back. So I'm just going around the paper, and then we'll take this little brush and get that going. I hope the fan isn't too loud, you guys. Okay, we're going to just do that. I'll need a little bit more water. Are you guys hanging in there? Yes, I know, Sheila, because I am always doing that. And then I just go with it. It's just like, okay. I just tell myself, oh, that's a neat little color that you didn't mean to add, or, you know, something like that. And then we just work with it, right? Once you do these art pieces, if you do them on a size, you know, there are just so many ways to reuse them. So I really like the definition that just outlining that. Can you tell a difference? Let me know. Oh, good. I'm so glad you can't hear the fan. Yay. That's wonderful. So I really like the definition that just doing the smallest thing, it's just outlining the elements with a little bit of a pencil. It's not that much. I mean, we've used a few little pieces of paper, you know, the butterfly printables. We use some watercolor, a Stabilo pencil, you know, so not a lot of supplies. But it's nice to be able to have a supply that you can use in different ways. So all of a sudden, this guy is really bothering me. And so I'm trying to decide how I want to address this little area. And so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do something like this. Okay. I went ahead and went around that circle. And then I'm going to go around it again. Just make another mark. See if I can't get that to make a little bit more sense for me, because it was bothering me. So I don't know that I love that, but I could even do like a little gold dot in there. And so I'm going to introduce another pen to you. So this is just a jelly roll pen. And this one is black. I hope it's the black one. And yeah, all right. So I'm going to just kind of take my jelly pen and do some little antenna here. Okay, I like to do these little dots around them. Okay, I could have outlined this, but so the reason I would outline with the Stabilo pencil versus this pencil is that this one, when it hits texture, it can kind of go off the rails. And whereas I feel like I have a little more control with the Stabilo pencil because it's soft, because it's water soluble, and I like that. This jelly roll pen, however, is actually very fine line. And so I like that as well. So I think, you know, just different things work. So this is very fine line. This is a little thicker, and this goes on smooth. This one goes on a little rough, like you can see, until you mix it with water. So Sheila, thank you so much. Thanks for being here. I appreciate it. Okay, so we're going to just do this here. We'll do this one here. Okay, so we've added those now. And so now I'm going to address this, and then I think we'll just kind of, we have been going on for an hour. I can't believe it. Okay, so I'm going to see if I can get this to be a little more prominent here. Okay. And just use that. So we're darkening that with the water. And then I think we'll add some splatter. I'm going to fix these. We'll add some splatter, maybe a little bit of gold, and then we'll be done with this one for now. Okay, so I need to get a dry brush real quick and pick that up because I got too much water in there and it's going to spread. Oops. All right, so I'm going to do that, and then we'll just do some splatter after we seal down our edges. And I may go ahead and wax this, like, you know, use my encaustic over it, or I might end up doing a pouring medium over it. I don't know, but I'll be sure to let you know what I decide. I'm going to think on this one. I've been trying all kinds of different things. So we're going to do that. And if it's not perfect, it's not a problem. We could go on and on and on and on. We could add modeling paste to this. We could just keep going. And but what I'm hoping is that you at least got a sense of like the watercolor background and how you can prepare a board for it. And oh, Shannon, thank you so much. And so to prepare a board with the watercolor and how you can just create very organic effects with it, I'm going to quickly go ahead and put down my edges, and then we'll add some splatter and see what we can do with that. Okay, so I had one little area, where was it? Oh, right here. Okay, so I want to make sure that that is down, down, down. Okay, so we'll get those down. And then I've got this little tiny bit here. And so, and then right here. If I was to do the wax on it, then that would be a problem, because if the edges aren't down, then things that you put on top can seep underneath. And then, so I just did a little bit of a, let me see if I can get a baby wipe and clean that up a little bit right there. I smudged my Stabilo pencil right there, and then took out a little bit of the watercolor area right there. So I'll figure that one out too. Okay, so then this one is down. All right, so that one's down. So I think what I want to do, I'm trying to decide, I really like just a little bit of, I don't know, like I think a little bit of metallic on something like this could be really pretty. And so I think we're going to use another pen, you guys. I'm going to use a, what do I have? I have a paint pen. This is just a paint pen that I can use on this. I could use just gold paint, but I don't have a lot of that right now. So this is a paint pen. It is just a, this is, I think this may be more of an oil base paint. It also marks on metal, plastic, rock, canvas, glass, ceramic, and steel. So it has an extra fine tip, and then on the other it has a thicker tip here. So to release the paint, you want to push the tip gently on something, and then the paint flows down into the tip so that you can use that. Okay, I'm trying to think of where, I'm kind of thinking like even in here. I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to do a little bit of a gold in here, in these little circles. Just the tiniest bit, right? Just a little sparkle. It might have been fun to actually do the antenna in the gold. So while we're here, I'm just going to go over that black a little bit. Now this does spread out a little bit, but I kind of like that. It does have the line. And it just adds a little something. It's something just a little bit different. It would probably look better had I thought to do that before I used the jelly pen, but that's kind of fun. Okay. And then I'm kind of thinking on the body. Do I just do this? I'm just going to do it. I'm not filling it in completely, but I'm just adding the gold to the body and just giving that just a little bit of definition. Not filling it in completely. It's more like little lines in there. Okay, so I like that. So let's add some splatter, and then we will be done. Oh, I'm glad you like the metallic too. I think it's kind of fun. I like a little metallic on things. Not a ton, but some. And it could have been even pretty to do some over here. So you never know. I will, when I get to a place like this, I know for me that I don't know about you. Let me know if you do this too. So when I get to a place like this, I will often just let it sit overnight. And then when I come back and I look at it again in the morning, it just seems to make a lot more sense. Or I think of a new direction, or all of a sudden I feel like I understand what it might be missing or what I want to do a little bit differently. So that's what I'm going to do with this. I'm going to dry this up real quick just to make sure that when I splatter, I do a little splatter, that it's not going to be too bad or wet anywhere where it's going to make everything run. Now I have a gold, a metallic watercolor that could be fun. But let's do this. Let's go ahead and choose a color, and we're going to do, let's look at this for when I'm looking at my colors, I'm thinking, what could I do? I could just go ahead and bring in a little bit of that Van Dyke brown, or the burned brown, I think could be really pretty. I think I'm going to do the burned brown, which is this darker one here. And so to do that, I'm going to get my paintbrush. Which one do I want to use? I don't want a ton of splatter on here, but I want enough so that it is noticeable. And so I'm just going to choose, this is a number 11. And so I'm going to get some water on there, and I'm going to go in with the burned brown. And then I'm going to, off to the side, go ahead and tap this so I can see how thick it's going to be. So I'm just going to go ahead and add some splatter. Just tipping, I have my brush is wet. It's got a lot of water in the belly of the brush. And then I'm just holding it over and tapping it with this pencil. Okay, so I like that. But what I also like is a little bit of white spackle or splatter. So I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of that as well with my dirty brush and my dirty water. So that's what I'm going to do. And again, I'm going to come over here just to get a sense of how it's going to splatter. And I'm going to get on the little, make sure that I get some of this white splatter on the actual butterflies. Okay, I want a little bit more there, so let me get a little more. I really like it on the actual butterflies. Okay, so that's where I'm at today, and I wish I had a Zoom, so I'm just going to kind of hold this up for you. Oh, I'm so glad. I'm so glad, Shannon. Thank you. So here we are a little bit. It's super, super simple. We only used 3 printables and a piece of paper with our background. But I think by adding the different colors and that type of thing, a little bit of mark making, we bring some interest to it. So if collage is something that is new to you, or you would really like to get into, something just, you know, super simple like this is such a great way to start. And so anyway, I am gonna let this do its thing and let it rest. And I may leave it as is. I may decide to do the wax with it, or I may decide not to and do a completely different something. But I will be spraying it with a fixative as soon as this is dry. I'll let it sit for a little bit, and then I'll spray it with a fixative. And then tomorrow I'll decide what else I want to do with it. So anyway, I'm going to pull this up, and thank you so much. We went a little long tonight, and it's hotter than sin, y'all. Is it hotter than sin where you are? It is just really hot today. And why is it that we always want what we don't, like in the wintertime, we can't wait for spring. In the spring, we can't, I don't know. I'm happy we have sunshine and all of that. So it's really good. But anyway, I just want to say thank you so much for joining me, for being here, and enjoy the printables. Again, just hashtag capital F, capital R, capital E, and it'll take you right to them. And if you do use them, I'd love to see what you make. So anyway, I'll be back next week, and we will do the sap buckets or something else. I kind of like the idea of having you vote on what you want to do. And it makes it fun for me because I just have so many projects in the hopper, and I love that I can ask you what you would like to create with me. So I think I'll just make a habit of that on Tuesdays. And so we have over, yes. Oh, anything over 80. Okay, Shannon, I know. I'm kind of with you on that. So anyway, again, everybody, thanks so much for being here. I hope wherever you are that you're well, and I will see you next week. And I will post something about the Stabilo pencil tomorrow so that we can that I can actually speak to it. So and share with you what it's all about, and we might find even some more fun uses for it. So anyway, take care, everybody. I'll see you soon. All right, good night.